welcome to So Fresh, So Prince.
Welcome into the palace.
So happy to have you here, So Fresh Army. We are so grateful that you're coming back and listening with us week after week. Thank you for coming in on iTunes. Thank you for coming in on Stitcher.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in on SoundCloud.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for liking us on Facebook.
Yeah.
Thank you for following us on Twitter and Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for following us on Tumblr.
Yeah.
And you haven't sent us an email yet, but you can. SoFreshSoPrince@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Let us know if we get anything wrong.
Yeah. You know, I definitely would like for somebody to try and prove us wrong. They probably won't.
Well,
but, you know.
I'm fallible. I admit this. I have no problem admitting this fact.
Okay. I mean, one of us might be wrong. But, you know, I actually got a smoke signal last week saying that they liked the podcast.
Ah.
It might have just been a fire, but I just assumed it was a smoke signal.
Well, we do live in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
so, you know, sometimes things do bust into flames.
Maybe we got two for the price of one. Somebody's house caught fire, and they just wanted to let us know how much they like it before they put out the fire.
As long as it wasn't a house in Bel Air, that would just be too close.
No, that's too much property to burn up at once. Maybe the West Wing might have burnt off.
Oh, yeah. Those houses are really big over in Bel Air.
Yeah. You know, as long as the guest house is still intact, I think it's okay.
Although, ironically, you know, as we have learned in our first episode, the house is actually in Brentwood, the famous Fresh Prince house.
Yeah.
Which is also a very affluent neighborhood. It's just not Bel Air.
No, not quite. Not until you get behind the gates.
Yes.
Yeah. That's when you know you made it, when you're behind the gates.
Because let's be honest, in this show, Bel Air is really just a state of mind.
Yes, very true. Very, very true.
How's that In-N-Out treating you?
It still hasn't hit the spot,
Oh.
but it's okay. I might come to life somewhere between the halfway point of this.
Okay, so are you saying I need to carry this podcast? Is that what you're
You
telling
might
me?
have to be Kobe for a while.
I can be Kobe, or in this case, Isiah. Spoiler alert, Isiah Thomas makes a cameo in this episode.
Well, if that's the case, then you're going to have to be the prince, you know, because Isiah is, you know, getting dominated. Spoiler alert.
Well, what would you expect? I mean, this is a Fresh Prince fantasy in which, as we know, in Will's mind, Will is the greatest at everything that Will can be the greatest at.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a pro football quarterback.
Yep.
He's been an amazing songwriter for Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones.
Yep.
He's apparently a chef.
Yep.
And, yeah, he's whatever he wants to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In his own mind. And frankly, I think in this particular case, that's all that really matters.
Yeah, if it works for you, that's fine.
All right. I'm comfortable with it.
I like it.
So let's get right to it, get past the spoilers. Lorenzo, what happened in this episode?
Well, we find out that the Banks don't have a basketball court.
Which is shocking.
It's a travesty because you pay all that money for a house and you don't get a basketball court, tennis court, and all these other amenities. What is it? It's not even a house.
How do you have a pool and not a basketball hoop, at the very least?
I don't know because, I mean, you know, I've seen the tennis courts.
Yep.
Where you have the two pylons and then you have that, and then you have the basketball holes at the end where you can put up the basketball courts because
Yes, indeed.
it's retractable.
Mhm.
But evidently the Bankses are not athletic at all. They don't play tennis at the house. They don't play squash, cricket, croquet, nothing. They don't even have a basketball court.
No badminton?
No, that's wrist work.
No fox hunting?
I'm going to go with animal control on that one.
No hockey?
Ask yourself that one more time. Just say that out loud so you can hear yourself.
I just wanted to hear what your reaction would be in that particular case.
You know, I mean, look, you might get lucky with some golf
Okay.
because we know they go to the country club.
Yes, they do.
But back to what I was saying. The Bankses don't have a basketball court. Now, this presents a problem for Will
Yes.
because he needs to display his basketball talent at all times or whenever he needs to or feels like it.
Yes.
So Uncle Phil says, why don't you go down to the school once again and go hang out with Carlton because he's practicing on the basketball team. And Will ever so politely says, "Wouldn't that embarrass him?" And then 2 seconds later, he turns to Jazz and says, "We're going." So they go down. And obviously, Bel Air Academy, it has great academics. They have wonderful individuals. They have philanthropists, but not basketball players at all.
Nope.
These guys are horrible.
Yes.
And we get introduced to Coach Smiley. And Coach Smiley is just over it at this point in his life. Not even in this season, just life. The fact that he is a basketball coach at Bel Air Academy has hit him so hard that he doesn't care. Because at this point, he says, I think getting it in the hoop is overrated.
Yes, yes, he does.
We don't have to worry about that. So after he makes the team try to do some layup drills, which I don't understand at this point, why you even have him there. But apparently he has them do layup drills. Now the principal comes by and says, "Hey, why don't you meet my friend here and who I'm trying to get to fund the basketball team, get them new jerseys, build a new gymnasium." And Coach Smiley is in shock because he said, "Oh, well, what are your projections this year in life?" No. For the team, winning. And Coach Smiley laughs. And it's not a sarcastic laugh. It's like, "What are you talking about?" laugh. But as he's saying all this, Will and Jazz are pretty much just playing the greatest game of I can do that better than you. And the guy who's supposed to be funding the team, he sees this and he says, "What about those 2 players?" And the principal says, "You've been holding out on me." So Coach Smiley invites Jazz and Will over, and he comes to find out that Jazz is not a student.
Nope.
But he can overlook that. It's okay. All in the name of winning.
Because as we know, Jazz is a 34-year-old possible pedophile.
Well, I don't know about pedophilia. I just feel bad about saying anybody's a pedophile. I just know he is in low-level criminal activities.
Okay.
After he can overlook the fact that Jazz is not a student, he knows Will is a student. So he says, "Will, join the team." And he begs and pleads and then bribes Will to join the team. So Will joins the team. Shows up to practice late, as usual.
Yep.
But come time the first game, Will is a star. Will just is beating everybody all by himself. And everybody loves it because we're winning.
Yep.
And when you have a lot of money and live in Bel Air, you like to win.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
So, Will comes to practice late after somebody else has already been late. And they've been given 10 or 20 laps.
Somewhere in between.
Yeah, just a lot of laps around the school. And Will comes in and falls asleep. And he is dreaming about the next game. And then the next game comes. And Will does the same thing he did in the first game and beats everybody by himself. But now the family is not pleased with it because it's boring. You're just watching one guy beat 5 other people.
Yep.
So we get to the end of this game where somehow, by some freak of nature, they're down. And the final play gets drawn up. Pass the ball to Will. What do you do? Pass the ball to Will. What do you do? Pass the ball to Will. What is the rule of life? Pass the ball to Will. So, Carlton does not like this rule. In his mind, he's going to have a Jordan, Reggie Miller moment. And he sees Will get the ball passed to him. And then he runs up and somehow manhandles him. And then Joe Namath the ball. I don't even know if we could say that. Joe Montana's the ball at the backboard and misses so badly. Just ever so badly. And that's pretty much what happened in this episode.
Yeah. We begin on what is a very big reoccurring theme in this show, that this show was very much trying to be a show of the time in which it was produced and be a commentator on pop culture, not just the Cosby Show, but also making reference to the other TV shows that were on the air. So when Uncle Phil walks in, he has his I need an Advil look on at the beginning of the episode. And when Jeffrey asks him how he is, his complaint is no matter how well you do for your clients, they always want you to be Harry Hamlin.
Who's Harry Hamlin?
Harry Hamlin was a very, very big actor in the 1990s due to his success on the show L.A. Law.
Huh.
Now he's much better known for guest starring on Glee, doing a lot of soap operas, and being on Dancing with the Stars, also being Lisa Rinna's husband.
I'm going to say the only place you're really winning in that whole string of things is being Lisa Rinna's husband.
Exactly.
Because everything else is... I think the only thing that we can say is he's winning by marrying Lisa Rinna.
What's amazing to me, and I think this is a personal anecdote, Harry Hamlin is the perfect actor to make reference to because he very much is of that Bel Air ilk. Like, if you go to Starbucks in Bel Air, you will see Harry Hamlin and Lisa Rinna just hanging out there.
Or will I see like 50 Harry Hamlins?
No, you will see the Harry Hamlin, and he'll probably be hanging out with Janice Dickinson.
Okay. I mean, just let me know the address so I can go meet Lisa Rinna. I mean, clearly that's the only thing that I'm worried about at this moment.
You're not getting your fix of her on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills?
No, the personal experience is a little bit better.
I see where you're going with
it's like
that.
a scratch and sniff, but you get the scratch
that
in
could
person.
take on so many bad connotations. Right?
I mean it all in a good way.
Okay, all right, I believe you 100%. So we have this very awkward beginning moment. It was very cool, but after Uncle Phil makes his Harry Hamlin reference, he turns on the radio and we hear James Brown's Papa's Got a Brand New Bag.
But not only do we hear it, we get to see his rendition of Papa's Got a Brand New Bag. So, like, if James Brown was 350 pounds and bald and was a lawyer, I think that's what he was going for.
Yes, very much so. And then Aunt Viv sees all of this, and she's like, oh, that's my man. And then they kind of start boogieing together, getting into the groove of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, out of nowhere, the music just stops, and the radio announcer comes on and says, that was James Brown's Papa's Got a Brand New Bag, the song from 25 years ago. We'll be right back after we hear from our sponsors, Geritol.
Just rude. You don't mention Geritol in a young person's radio station.
I don't think it was a young person's radio station.
But they're still young, I think.
Are they?
I mean, maybe.
We have about that much time to contemplate it right there before Will and Jazz walk in and they're playing ball in the house.
Yeah.
And that's what forces Will and Jazz out of the house because Will and Jazz are going to go over to Jazz's neighborhood. We don't know exactly where Jazz's neighborhood, but we're assuming it's somewhere near Watts.
Yeah, and or anywhere dangerous where bullets might fly.
Yes, and Jazz says the only problem with going there is the fact that they can only play half court because people are selling stolen goods out of the trunk of cars on the other half of the court.
I mean, but that's got to be an exciting half court game. You have it's like a little Staples Center, It's just that the commerce is packed in actually on the court.
Well, I think the biggest fear would be it would basically turn into a very urban version of the Sandlot, where if the ball goes to the wrong side of the court,
game over.
Then Will and Jazz need to figure out how to get their Kobe basketball back.
Well, it would definitely be the Jordan ball.
Yeah, it would be the Jordan. I want to write this movie. Like, we're going to have to talk to NBC and figure this out. But there's a movie to be had there where Will and Jazz invite Carlton to be on their basketball team, and they lose the basketball to the wrong side of the court.
But it'd have to go like to the Reagan's house or something like that.
So he goes into the Carlton says, "I'll get you guys another ball." And he goes to the Reagan's house and steals their prized Michael Jordan signed basketball and plays with it. Because Carlton has no idea who Michael Jordan is.
No, but evidently he plays basketball, which is what they call ass backwards. That's the only way to say it. It's just ass backwards.
Yes. So, NBC, you guys want to produce Homeboy Sandlot, then hit us up.
I like it. Homeboy Blackcourt.
The Blacktop.
I was thinking it, but then I said it inside my head, and it borderlines on the offensive.
When have we not borderlined on the offensive?
I didn't say that
podcast?
it was wrong to borderline on the offensive. I just said I didn't say it out loud.
Okay.
I said it in my head.
Fair enough.
But I mean, it's funny because we realize at this point when Will shows up, that's when the episode starts.
Yes.
Everything else is just B-roll at this point.
Well, and that's one of the things that happens with a sitcom. At some point, when you don't entirely know who the characters are, you just kind of have to fill space. And that's what they were doing there. And it was an amusing moment, but that's all it really was.
Yeah, it's always funny to see a big man in a gray suit dance.
Fat guy in a little coat.
Yeah.
Chris Farley reference, everyone. Chris Farley.
You should know that. It's okay, though. We still love you anyway.
So we cut to the theme song, and when we come back, it's the most awkward basketball practice ever recorded on television.
Have you seen the YouTube videos of the babies or the toddlers trying to play basketball?
Yes.
It's worse than that. It's the babies and the toddlers are better than these preteens. Like the layup drill, I honestly watched, and I don't think anything made it anywhere remotely close to the area of the rim.
Yes.
Like it was under the backboard, on top of the backboard, off of somebody's face, off of somebody's chest. It just anywhere but inside the hoop.
Yes. 100%.
They were so enthused. they just had this enlightenment, enjoyment. They had some form of excitement that just prevented them to get to the goal. Like, you know how you want something and you run after it so bad and then you get there and you trip and you fall on your face?
But you're just happy that you're there.
Yeah.
But somehow then it turns into a tea party because Carlton said, "Hey, you weren't supposed to take the ball. He was passing it to me." "Yeah, but I'm on the other team. I'm supposed to try and intercept the ball." "Now hold on, guys. We need to be nice to each other. Be considerate of everyone's feelings."
Now, at this point, Benny, I'm looking at you. Benny Booms, being the West Philly homeboy, you should have known that you could not have let this moment happen.
But remember, that's a Bel Air moment. He's responsible for all the other moments that have to do with West Philly. And he succeeded.
Yes, he did.
Everything that Will did in this episode was legit.
Yeah.
There was no moment where I put my head in my hands and just cried.
Yeah. But, I mean, this is the Will breakout moment right here. We actually get to see no stunt double, no body double. It's just Jazz and Will playing basketball. Or more specifically, Jazz bouncing the ball off of the ground or off the backboard and Will playing basketball. Jazz played little basketball in this one.
Yes. But Will can dunk. Like, very impressive throughout this entire episode were his skills.
This is true, but I could be jumping the gun. Tell me if I am. Did this not look like the youth court at the local community center? Because it looked like the 7th grade court.
Oh, no, there's no way this was a regulation court. But the only reason it was awkward was because we have adult-sized people who were playing on a court that was actually built for high schoolers. Because that's about the same size court that I played in when I was in high school.
So then I must have been playing on some college courts.
Probably.
That looks small to me.
Oh, it was. But also remember, It's television.
This is true.
I mean, the set's only so big, the cameras only go in so many directions.
And it's the 90s.
Exactly.
I'm expecting too much. Look at me.
I think we expect everything that should be expected from this show. And they give it to us.
I was expecting a Like Mike commercial, and I think I got it.
Yep.
It's like a Michael Jordan commercial. It's just smaller with maybe a bigger budget, but definitely a smaller gym.
Oh, yeah, television budget. And while all this is happening, looking on is a very wealthy alumnus named Barry O'Donnell, who the principal is trying to get to donate money for a new gymnasium. Because they can see how small the gymnasium is. And
we have the kid size. Can we upgrade to the adult, please?
And you would think that with so many wealthy Bel Air parents, it would be easy. You just have a telethon. And then you end up with the money.
Well, apparently this team needs a telethon by the way they're playing. So, I mean,
So, the coach asked Will and Jazz to join the team. Now, Jazz's response was,
I don't even go to this school.
And the coach says, well, I can overlook that if you can.
And this just shows me the fact that he's such a great character because Coach Smiley knows the alumni and the principal is right behind him. He says, I don't care.
Well, but also look at the scenario. Look at how bad this team is. He knows that as long as he does not physically assault one of the players or have sex with them, nobody else wants this job.
Very true.
Nobody's going to fire him.
I think the team is so bad that they'd keep him on just for that reason.
Exactly.
So, he can pretty much get away with anything. And I just think it's funny that he's Coach Smiley, and he never smiles at all.
Not a single time. Even to the point where just to get a small amount of joy that comes with winning a game, Coach Smiley offers Will his car just to join the team.
Yeah, that's the bribery. We went from the asking, please join the team, to the begging.
Yep.
To the pleading, and then the bribery. I'm pretty sure Coach Smiley would have offered up his wife next.
Do you think he's married? I don't think anyone who has enough self-respect to maintain a relationship would still be in that position.
I'm on the other side. I'm thinking the only way he keeps his sanity is going home to his extremely hot wife, because he can't live in Bel Air.
No.
Coach Smiley clearly does not live in Bel Air.
Not at all.
He just commutes there.
Yes.
So he probably lives like on the edge of Culver City or something like that, just far enough away where it's like, should I go or should I stay? I'll go.
For those not living in Los Angeles, Culver City is probably, without traffic, a good 20 minutes away from Bel Air.
Yeah.
And in traffic, just like everything else, anywhere between
5 hours.
I was going to say 2 to 5 hours, but yes.
I just account for the parking lot that is the freeway sometimes.
You want to hear about a parking lot? I tried to go get some Starbucks before we recorded. I spent 15 minutes in the parking lot and then just left because there were no spots. It's just indicative of the fact that we spend more time in our cars in Los Angeles than we do anywhere else. In fact, we are actually recording this podcast in a car.
Yes,
right
we
now.
are. Yes. We're on our way to another Starbucks because you can't live without Starbucks.
Not
it's
at
like
all.
Air and blood.
Air and blood.
You need air to survive and you need blood to flow. So, it's like you get the macchiato, but if you don't get the espresso shot, you're going to die.
Yeah, okay. No argument there. When we want to avoid death.
Yeah.
But Carlton, for whatever reason, in his attempt to avoid death and maintain some level of control over the situation that Will is now on the basketball team, the coach tells Carlton to teach Will all of the plays. Because apparently there are plays that this team has tried to run in between all of their Starbucks runs.
Okay, so play number 1. Try not to run into each other. Play number 2. Keep the ball within the rectangle. Play number 3. Throw it at the circular orange thing.
Which is exactly why it turned into a pissing match between Will and Carlton. So Carlton has his little chalkboard and piece of chalk and says, okay, I'm going to draw stick figure Will, this is me, and then I'm going to draw stick figure Will, and this is you.
But we can't let that moment go without a joke.
Of course not. So Will steals the chalk and says, don't you mean this is me? And just draws the biggest stick figure you can imagine on the board. And this is you, the smallest stick figure. So Carlton grabs the chalk back and says, oh, well, this is my brain, and draws a giant circle. And this is your brain. Doot. Just touches the chalk.
Just a dot.
And of course, Will grabs it back and says, oh, well, this is my pretty face, and this is your ugly face.
Yeah.
And and that's when Carlton's like, okay, we need to be adults in this situation. We're going to stop this silliness right now.
No.
And just give me the chalk back. No, you can't have the chalk.
No.
So then Ashley walks in.
And then you know what happens when two people are in a room and there's one person in the middle.
Will tosses the chalk to Ashley. Carlton assumes that Ashley's just going to give him the chalk.
No, but he doesn't know the rules of ridicule. See, rules of ridicule, if I'm making fun of you, and there's an object that you want from me, and somebody else walks into the room, it's obviously a sign for keep away, because we need to be adults about this.
Made all the more comical by the fact that Carlton is really a lot shorter than Will.
Yeah.
So that made it all the more fun to watch Carlton run between Will and Ashley in this pickle. And then Hillary becomes involved, and the three of them are playing keep away from Carlton. And then Jeffrey becomes involved, and it becomes keep away from Carlton and Jeffrey.
Now, here's the problem here. We've learned that Jeffrey is James Bond.
Yes.
You can't play keep away from James Bond.
No.
The end of the game is when James Bond walks into the room.
And Jeffrey goes straight for the death grip. He just looks at Will and says, you've met your match, and grabs Will's hand and wrestles him down on the couch. Even where Will is like, gee, man, what are you doing?
He's James Bond.
Yes.
But here's the thing. When Uncle Phil comes in and tries to break it up, as all fathers have to do.
Yes.
You know, Jeffrey has this embarrassed look on his face. I'm going to go, if you're 5 feet something and you take down anybody over 6'5", you need to have a proud look on your face. I don't care if you're on the job and you're supposed to be the butler. I don't care if you're supposed to be the CEO. I take down somebody 2 feet taller than me, I'm proud.
Yes, Master Phil, I just leveled young Master William and took his ass to the potty.
See? That's what I want from my Jeffrey. I think he said that on the inside.
Of course he did, but he also likes his job. I mean, as far as jobs go, Jeffrey has a fairly low-maintenance job because he doesn't mind cleaning things. He doesn't mind doing the cooking. And, you know, he doesn't have to dig ditches, and he gets to wear fancy clothing.
This is true.
He likes his tuxedos.
This is very true.
So he doesn't want to jeopardize that.
Okay. You know, but in his defense, I think somebody else would dig the ditches for him. He would just read them poetry softly.
Yeah, he would oversee the digging.
Jeffrey is a boss in other worlds, just not this one.
Again, as we've talked about in the past, Jeffrey clearly has enough money from working for the banks that his real home country, which is not England, he could go back there and live richer than the banks do.
You know, he just wants to show his integrity by working.
But he goes back to work, and after Phil berates Will for acting like a teenager, because, you know, he is a teenager.
Yeah.
Phil and Viv are left alone in the room, and Aunt Viv says, you know, you really should be nicer to Will. You haven't said anything about him joining the basketball team, and you were the one who was on his case about joining an after-school club.
See, this is what happens. Uncle Phil tells him to do something, and he willifies it. And I'm going to copyright that word. Don't worry about it. You know, he takes it to a whole nother level that Uncle Phil was not ready for. it just happened to be in Will's wheelhouse this time, so he couldn't really do too much.
Nope.
It's like, hey, go do this. And then you become the star at it and say, hey, don't do that anymore. No. You inspired me to be better.
Yes. So we cut right to the basketball game. The entire family comes. Even Hillary, who immediately regrets it when she finds out that the game is 3 hours.
3 hours?
And had Hillary been in the modern world, she could have had her iPhone with her and just been checking Twitter the entire time, in which case she wouldn't care. But there was a time before iPhones and before Twitter feeds.
And before Uber.
Ooh, that's the tough one.
Yeah, because she could have just had an Uber come pick her up after halftime.
Do you think that Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv would have let Hillary have an Uber account?
I mean, she's hanging out with 35-year-old actors at this point. I think they would have let her have an Uber account. The father in you is having a problem right now.
Well, my initial thought process was she's got at least some limitation with her credit card because there are limits on the credit card. But with Uber, there's no limitation. Like, let's say that she has a $600 limit on her credit card, and she decides she wants to get in an Uber and have someone drive her to San Francisco. Even if that Uber account is attached to her credit card and it goes beyond $600, they're still going to take her all the way there, and then she's not going to be able to get back. So then Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv are going to have to figure out how to get Hillary back from San Francisco, where she's not going to want to leave in the first place because she's going to be amazed about how many nice boys there are in pants tighter than hers. And that's an entire episode of the sitcom right there.
And hey, we have the lost episode of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
We're just giving you this gold for the reboot.
You know,
Overbrook, you got to call us.
That's pretty much what happened. And that's what happened in this episode.
All right, hit the theme song. No.
But I just think it's funny that in that moment with Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv, how they have to, you know how the father is always the ex-football star.
Yep.
But apparently he was a football god. I'm guessing this was after he had lost his boyish figure and got his shapely shape.
Yes.
Because he had to be a linebacker. That's the only way he could be a football god. He just lay down and just roll over the whole entire defensive line.
Pretty much. Yeah. Although we have in the series, not in the podcast series yet, we haven't gotten there yet, we do see a young Uncle Phil, and he is quite svelte.
Yeah.
You don't know how you feel about that?
Yeah, that might have been his freshman before the freshman 15.
Ah, okay. Which leads to a montage of the entire basketball game to You Can't Touch This.
Yeah.
And again, we talked about this back in the episode where Ice Tray appeared. Shout out to Don Cheadle. It's this weird combination when you have the Fresh Prince doing anything related to MC Hammer. Because they were such opposite sides of the same coin of the hip-hop world.
Yeah.
I mean, one was very gold and one was very neon.
Yeah. I mean, either way, they were both bright.
Yes.
They both shined.
Very much so.
You know, there's a silver lining in all of this. And neon. And green. And red. And blue. And teal.
Do I need to stop you? Or are you just going to...
Every other color in the rainbow. And every other color you can think of. That's right. Pretty much that's where it's in.
You just started to go Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat on all of this. So
well, I mean, you know, I'd need about a whole 4 or 5 episodes just to mention all the colors that I see in one scene.
All right, well, that'll be a very special episode.
Blue, purple, fuchsia.
So obviously during the basketball game, Will does an excellent job.
Of course.
They win. The team wins their first game. Everyone's really excited. Hooray. Everyone except for Carlton.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden, Will's got some attention. And he's doing something better than Carlton can, and Carlton doesn't like it.
Carlton gets kind of emo in these moments. Your little 5-year-old self, or you're disappointed that dad didn't come home and you're not going on the fishing trip. That's Carlton's face in this moment.
Yeah. I mean, he can't be happy that his basketball team has won. No, Carlton just needs to be the best. He has a literal Napoleonic complex.
This is true, but on the other side, I'm not sure if you noticed, but Uncle Phil and Will had a Kobe and Shaq moment. They originated. They might have been the original Kobe and Shaq moment, because you post it up next to the Kobe and Shaq moment, and it looks identical.
Yeah. There's nothing else to say about that. I think they fit those archetypes pretty perfectly.
Yeah.
But somehow they get it along. They figure it out. Will goes to practice. It doesn't matter that he's late.
No, but it does matter that the guy before him is late.
Yes, because he has to do 20 laps
around the campus
after practice.
Which I'm going to guess it's dark by then. And if you haven't been to Bel Air or any of these nice places in Los Angeles, you would know that they're up in hills. And these hills aren't very well lit.
No.
So, if I have to choose between Will going to somewhere in South Central or Watts or any of that area to play basketball, or my 17-year-old running around in the dark of these hills around this school campus, I'm going to choose neither. I'm going to go with none.
Well, and that's when Coach Smiley gets the phone call from the parent of the child who's currently running around the Bel Air campus for, 3 hours. And his response is, "Lady, I don't care. Goodbye." And he can't lose his job because no one else wants it.
No, and he made that very clear in the opening speech.
Yes.
That I see some new faces, most of whom weren't here when we were losing. Truth be told, I didn't want to be here when we were losing. To be honest with you, I ducked out a little early.
He basically said everything except I was drunk at the games.
Yeah, because you can't say you're drunk at the games.
No. But this is all the second game. We are getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. So while they're at practice, the coach has a great new game plan. Every play starts one way and ends with pass it to Will.
So even if I'm right under the basket,
pass it to Will.
If I'm at the half court line,
pass it to Will.
If I'm on the other side of the court and God tells me to shoot the ball,
pass it to Will.
Okay.
Yeah, and everyone has that response except for Carlton. Carlton's response is, well, if I'm open, then I take the shot, or if not, I pass it back to the guard. Because Carlton's a smart kid, but as I learned very early on in life, just because you have a visceral understanding of the rules of a sport does not mean that you are good at it.
No. That he has what I like to call assistant coach mentality.
Yeah.
When you're not the star player, because I've been on teams where I was not the star player. I might have been the second or third best person on the team.
Okay.
But I was not the star player. So you have those moments where it's like, I can do this. Coach, I'm wide open. They're not even guarding me. Don't shoot it. And everybody knows that look from their coach, because you can look at them and you just feel the death start to creep down your spine if you do what you're thinking about.
Because you want to be the hero.
No.
You want everyone to be chanting your name. You want to be carried off the court like Rudy.
You get no Mighty Ducks moment. No Rudy. No Friday Night Lights. No.
None of that.
All of that gets shot down when you look at the coach and he shoots you the look of death.
But Will didn't get that at any point. In fact, Will was such the king, such the prince, that he fell asleep in the middle of practice.
Yeah.
Coach doesn't even care.
No.
No, not at all. But then we get a nice little dream sequence where Will starts dreaming about his brand new sneaker line, Air Fresh.
But who do they have in this Air Fresh ad?
Isiah Thomas, in his prime as the captain of the Detroit Pistons.
Playing in a basketball court all by himself.
Losing to Will Smith.
Now, I can't see it. I mean, you would have to pay me a nice check to have somebody really goofy just beat me.
But let's not forget the fact that the Fresh Prince was literally the prince at the time. He could do no wrong.
Very true.
You know, I mean, he was a star. And Isiah, he probably had a nice paycheck to do this. It's like, and again, as always, someone said to you, show up, wear the clothes you're going to wear anyways, do the things that you're going to be doing anyways. Just do it for us. We're going to turn on a camera, do it for about an hour, and you can make tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, and I feel like that's how they prefaced him. It's like, hey, we want to get some cool shots with you playing basketball.
Yes.
And then he shows up, and then he goes in for his first layup, and then you just have Will Smith running in frame and just blocking him. And I feel like the cast and crew just sat there for 5 minutes and laughed about it.
Probably.
And then they told him, oh, by the way, you're here to let Will beat you.
And hopefully his response was, well, when I am eventually the president of the New York Knicks, I'm going to look back on this fondly.
Very true. But, I don't think anybody wants to be the head of the New York Knicks.
Not right now, no.
Not ever.
No. So as we exit this dream sequence, we're back at the house where we find that Uncle Phil, in an attempt to be more supportive of Will, has put up a hoop on the garage.
Wow.
So that was very nice of him. He also spoke to his firm and put in to get the firm's Laker tickets and wants to take Will.
Now here's the thing. At this point, do you make any more jokes about Uncle Phil?
In what sense?
Period. He put up a basketball court.
Mm-hmm.
And he got you Laker tickets. Mind you, they're still in Showtime. They're at the tail end of Showtime. Mm-hmm. So, the Lakers are still winning.
Yep.
If somebody gets me Laker tickets or something equivalent, I hate to say it because I'm a diehard Laker fan, but it's going to come out of my mouth. If somebody gets me Clipper tickets, because they're good right now, that's the only reason.
They are.
For about a couple weeks, you get some time off of the jokes.
But this is you. You and I, for all intents and purposes, to the rest of the world, appear like we're adults. And
I'm not.
Again, to the rest of the world, it almost appears that way. And we understand that if someone does something nice for you, it's only common and only courteous to respond in kind by doing something nice, offering them a compliment, buying them a drink.
Yeah.
I don't think Will understands this at the ripe age of 17, where he thinks he knows everything and still thinks that it's okay to wear the cummerbund around his chest and the Jordans to the fancy dinner party.
Okay. You got me.
All right.
You got me.
So, Uncle Phil, to his credit, does not give up on Carlton. He's not giving attention to Will and shunning Carlton altogether, because Carlton says, thanks for putting up the hoop. Do you want to come see my layup? And so Uncle Phil says, just give me a minute. I just want to talk to Will really quickly, and invites Will to the Laker game. Will, again, being the brash 17-year-old that he is, says, sure, let's go. I can't wait to show the Laker girls what a future player looks like. And then Uncle Phil says to Carlton, hey, why don't we go outside and we can see your layup? But Carlton is so hurt by this that he just wants to go to his room
and study,
because he does a very good job of that. Carlton studies much better than Will does.
Carlton is a star in the classroom.
Absolutely.
He is.
And he then goes to his big sister and says, "Hey, Hillary, did Dad say anything about me at the game last week?"
He did say one thing.
Yeah, he yelled at the guy behind us and said, "Hey, don't talk about him that way. That's my son."
And the dagger twists.
And Hillary, to her credit, came a little bit deeper.
She was actually a real person. Is this like the second real Hillary moment?
I would say so.
Only two.
Yes.
I can't quite remember the first one, but I know what happened.
It was still a shallow moment.
Okay.
So it wasn't that deep. But in this particular case, she just looks at her little brother and says, "Look, you're in the Glee Club. You're president of the debate team. You're a straight-A student. You can't compare yourself to Will in every scenario. Plus, if that hoop were just like 2 inches shorter, you'd be making as many baskets as him.
And he'd still be 2 times better. I mean, he might be 4 times better because it's 2 feet lower."
And the Napoleonic complex continues.
I can beat you at your short game and the tall game.
Which takes us right back into game number 2.
Yeah.
And I would actually like to read the pregame speech.
I think you can do Coach Smiley better than I can. To be quite honest with you, I don't possess that dry tone quite yet.
All right, my throat's a little dry, anyways. Let me see what I can accomplish. Best Kent Brockman. "I see a lot of new faces out here tonight. Faces I didn't see when we were losing. People who did not support this team in its darkest hour. All I can say is, I don't blame you one bit. Half the time I didn't want to be there, and quite frankly I usually ducked out a little early. But that's all going to change tonight because of our new superstar, Will Smith." And the crowd goes wild.
Yeah. And you know what I heard in that more than anything? I think Coach Smiley might have quit Bel Air Academy and went on to become Obama's speechwriter. Because I feel like that's how Obama feels with this whole Trump thing,
No. Oh.
That's just a side note. Just the cadence. That's all. I know Coach Smiley wrote something to that effect. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Speculation is my favorite thing.
That's true. But, there's a lot of bitch please going on here.
Yeah.
Which leads us to another basketball montage, and they really got their money's worth.
Yeah, they poured it on.
You can't touch this. And it was big, and it was just as long as the previous one, but this time, not only is Will playing well, but he's hyping up the crowd. He's getting kisses from cheerleaders.
Yeah.
And this team that they're playing, well, they're a little bit better than the last team.
They're a lot of bit better.
So the game is on the line, and the team is down by 2. And so the Coach Smiley, he calls a timeout. They got a huddle.
Yeah.
So Coach says, "All right, everyone."
This is a real Hoop Dreams moment right here. Or Hoosiers. There we go.
There we go, Hoosiers. "Game's on the line. Our best chance is to make a 3-pointer. What do we do?"
Pass it to Will.
Pass it to Will. So Carlton hears this and decides, you know what? We're not going to pass it to Will. I'm just as good at Will at everything. Everything in Carlton's mind.
Yes.
So Carlton goes out. Will's got the ball, and Carlton wrestles the ball away from Will. And like we said, they clearly blew their entire money budget on You Can't Touch This because they had a really bad sound-alike of Chariots of Fire.
See, I told you it would come up. I told you it would.
Of course it would. No question. We're in this so deep. We have come down this rabbit hole that we're seeing these episodes before they even happen. So, everything that Hoosiers uses as an archetype, this sequence has.
Of course.
So we hear the Chariots of Fire. Carlton wrestles the ball away from Will. he's at half court, and he throws the ball one-handed as best he can. And it's slow motion. We see the audience. We see Will. We see Carlton staring at the ball. Please, 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 please. And then we see the ball.
How close is the ball to the rim?
How close is California to New York?
Definitely closer than that ball was to the rim.
Preach.
Yeah, and the worst part about it was like a football throw in the camera shot. But by the time we see where the ball is, it's like a Randy Johnson pitch gone wrong. Because it goes up to the right, and then at the last second, for some reason, it goes down.
Yeah. Because Carlton is as talented as Will when it comes to basketball, except at being awful at basketball.
Yeah.
That's all that really is.
Him and Will share something very, very much in common. When they fail big.
Yeah, that's the truth. Which is why when they go back to the house and Carlton's all mopey, emo Carlton, Will comes in and says, I don't know what you're complaining about. You're a lucky man. You're lucky that you got out of that locker room alive.
Yeah. But I mean, to Carlton's defense, I don't think anybody else on that team has made a shot, so they can't really be mad at him for taking the Herculean effort.
But that's kind of like saying, all right, so here's the problem. All right, so that really, really nice dinner that you spent hours making because you spent years becoming a really good cook, and that dinner the entire family was looking forward to. I accidentally, and by accidentally I mean I decided I can do it better, so I threw the whole thing out.
Wow.
And then I made dinner, but I burnt it. But it's okay because it's still food.
Okay, you have a point. I'm not saying I'm wrong. I'm just saying you have a point.
Okay.
We're making progress around here.
Yes, people. We are. But the true progress comes when Uncle Phil sees the boys fighting over Carlton's basketball.
Yeah.
Because Carlton is literally trying to take his ball away from Will and then go home.
Well, they're already home, so I mean, maybe go to his room.
Yeah. But what is Carlton's room if not his home?
Yeah, I still think that might have been a funny scene. I'm going home. I'm taking my ball, and I'm going home.
You are home.
But Will would have to say that looking into the camera, though.
But instead, they just fight over the ball.
Yeah.
Which lets Uncle Phil come in and see them and calls them out for being babies.
Yes.
And I really have to give it to Uncle Phil for having that true great parent moment, because as wrong as Will was to be a little bit of a showboat, he still found a way to make Carlton screw up and Will screw up seem equal when they weren't even close.
No, it's like you can't say you're the favorite kid in front of the non-favorite kid. So you just got to put everybody on an even keel.
It's not even about favorite kid. It's more about, okay, you got two dogs, and one of them runs outside because he knows he has to go to the bathroom. Just a little bit of pee got on the tile floor before he got out. And then the other dog just walks onto the $3,000 carpet and takes a crap. Carlton took that crap.
Yeah.
But Uncle Phil played it very even-handedly, and when he sent Will off, he gave Carlton that Theo moment.
Yeah.
And explained to him, Will uprooted everything. His mother is 3,000 miles away, and I know I haven't been to your basketball games. You have so many extracurricular activities, though.
Glee club,
it's
chess
basically
club,
a full-time job.
Debate team.
All of these little things. Tennis.
Polo.
He's probably playing badminton.
Horseback riding.
Carlton's probably on the hockey team.
and still manages to go to Young Republicans camp.
Well, when you live that close to the Reagans, it's a requirement. You get a scholarship.
I mean, it might just be next door. You never know.
It's on the Reagans front lawn. Hello, Young Republicans.
I am the greatest president that ever was.
No, if you ask the Republicans, they will tell you Reagan is the greatest.
Yeah.
So Carlton hears what his father says because Uncle Phil, when he gives a dad speech, everyone gets it.
Yeah.
And Carlton tries to make nice and says, "Hey, Will, here you go," and tosses him the basketball.
But once again, he has this Randy Johnson effect where it's just like it's almost like Wild Thing.
Yeah.
Where you don't know where the ball is going to end. You know where it starts from, but you just don't know where it's going to land.
But not only that, because it's an epic miss, and somehow it breaks some sort of glass in the Banks house, and the production really must have blown more money than they thought they were going to on You Can't Touch This, because they couldn't even afford a good glass-breaking sound effect.
You know where the money went, because Jordan is back in this episode.
Yeah.
So they might have had to pay Nike.
That's probably what it is.
Because, they did make a notice when Jeffrey showed up to the basketball game. He said, "Oh, you're here? Yeah. I decided to make the game a little bit more fun." And Jazz bets against Will.
Which shows how good of a friend he is.
Well, hey, Jazz sees an opportunity, because if Will screws up, he's loaded.
Mind you, loaded is $50.
Hey, we know where Jazz lives. We know he's in some kind of illegal thing at this point. So, $50 might fund his next venture.
And this is the 90s.
Yeah, and let's not forget, he knows the $20 Rolex man.
I was going to make a point, but I don't even know what it was. So I'm just going to go right into the big question. Lorenzo, what did we learn in this episode?
We learned that when you fail, you must fail in epic fashion to Chariots of Fire. That's what we learned. But we also learned to let people shine in their moment of shininess. Whether that be Dayglow, Neon, Jordan, or any of the things, you just let people shine. You have your thing.
All right, I'll take it. My question to you: if they hadn't taken the majority of the show's budget and given it all to Nike, Isiah Thomas, and MC Hammer, where do you think they would have put it?
I'm definitely gonna go with more Dayglow. We would have gotten a lot more montagey. I think we would have gotten Carlton and Will actually in the gym, and Will would have been bouncing the ball off of Carlton's head and spinning him around like in the opening credits. Yeah, I think we would have had a lot more Will and Carlton moments in short shorts.
Okay, and would you say this was a good episode?
I like the episode. It's not my favorite basketball episode on The Fresh Prince, but it is the first one. So, I do appreciate the intro to it.
And I think that this was a vast improvement over last week's episode.
Yeah.
Paired with the fact that this is one of the first times where an episode actually aired in the order that it was shot. So things kind of made a little bit of sense.
And you want to know the biggest thing?
What's
Uncle
that?
Phil talked about Will like he was a human being.
Yeah.
A nice human being.
Now that's going to go away eventually.
Oh, at the beginning of the next episode. It's already gone. As soon as he said it, the moment was over.
Well, next week we actually have a Hillary-centric episode.
Wait, we get to go into the Chanel bubble?
We do. Very deep in the Chanel bubble.
Okay. This got real awkward real quick.
But we're going to wait.
Okay.
We're going to we're going to focus on You Can't Touch This.
Yeah, and please, if anybody would like to recreate the Carlton moment, please do so. But do it in real time and throw it as hard as he threw it and just see what happens.
And you can upload that to Instagram or Twitter where you can tag us in it at SoFreshSoPrince using the hashtag SoFreshArmy. You can also upload it to Facebook and tag our Facebook page in it at SoFreshSoPrince, the podcast, facebook.com/SoFreshSoPrince. Or you can put it on your Tumblr and tag us in it there. Because we're at all those places and we want to hear from you. Feel free to email it to us, SoFreshSoPrince@gmail.com. And of course, go on iTunes, go on Stitcher, rate us 5 stars, subscribe to the show. Take some time, like us on SoundCloud if you have an account, subscribe to us there. We're in all these places, and it really helps out the show, and it helps new people find us so that they can have the same joy that you've been experiencing for the past hour.
Yeah. And I think that's all I got.
That's all we got?
I'm going to go out and play some basketball.
All right, sounds like a plan. Who do you think can throw the better three-pointer, you or me?
Let's just get outside and figure that out for ourselves.
All right, sounds like a plan. Thank you all so much for listening. And as always, whatever you do and however you do it, make sure you stay so fresh.
So fresh.
Peace.
Hold up. All right. Hola, mamacita. Go get me a birra. This track is a heater. Couldn't let the beat go by without a feature. Cause it's hot shit. Only, you know me. OG, high class and low key. Trying to find me a Sophie, forget her.